Hi, welcome to another episode of Jarltech TechLab. For those who don't know me, who are seeing me for the first time, I'll introduce myself. Remigiusz Kaczewski. I work at Jarltech Europe, and my colleague is here with me.
Janek Dolinski from TSC.
I'm very glad I managed to invite TSC to the studio because we've been trying to do this for, I think, 2 years. Finally, Janek accepted the invitation. And today we want to talk about devices, or rather solutions, that TSC has for its retail sector. Before we start talking about specifics, I'd like to cover a few organizational matters. Please let us know in the chat if you can hear us, if you can see us, if everything is okay. We're planning our talk, our meeting, for about 45 minutes, so you can set aside that much time. Unless you have a lot of questions, then it will take a bit longer. So to start, I'll ask you to write in the chat if you can hear us well, if everything is okay. In the meantime, if you follow my profile on LinkedIn, you surely saw that I wrote that I'd prepared a challenge for Janek. We were talking about devices earlier. Janek boasted that TSC has very cool, durable solutions that can withstand a lot. So I have a little challenge. Careful, water. I have a bowl of water. Janek said the terminal would withstand being submerged in water, so go ahead.
Sure, it will definitely withstand it.
We'll try to run an app there that will show whether the terminal is working or not. And we'll see if it actually manages to last for the entire duration of our conversation, just as we hope it will.
Yes, I'll clarify a bit that not for the entire webinar. Oh, and unfortunately it switched. Well, but you can see the terminal working.
You can see the screen is sensitive. It even reacts to the water wave. So the device is good and the screen is functional. I assume it won't go blank on us. If it does go blank, we'll activate it to show that the device is actually working. We can possibly just add more water to submerge it completely, so you don't accuse us of cheating. This is live, I remind you. Good, thank you for the information in the chat. We already know that everything is perfectly fine, so let's go ahead and begin our conversation together. Today, we would like to take some time to talk in more detail about the world of retail and specifically discuss what TSC has to offer in this particular area. We hope this will give you a better understanding of the topic. TSC, as you know, is a printer manufacturer, a manufacturer recently also of mobile devices. Since TSC bought Bluebird, soon Bluebird will be offered under the TSC brand. Janek will probably talk about that in a moment. But to start, Janek, what are the processes in retail at points of sale that partners or customers come to you with, so you can help them improve them?
Sure. I was also lucky enough to work at Fresh Market for a while. So I also have personal experience working in a store, taking care of all those processes and elements. So there's a lot of that. One of the most important elements right now is visibility into our stock levels, what we have in the store and what products we have. Retail is starting to develop very dynamically. It's accelerating more and more. Customers have higher expectations, which means companies simply, without this visibility, they can't meet those demands. So it's definitely a crucial element. We also have, of course, the constant receiving of stock from central warehouses to the store. Many stores have their own back rooms where they also need to control what's there and what's not, because sometimes in fashion retail, customers ask for a product that isn't on display on the floor, but it turns out it's in the warehouse. So employees also need access to that information. Constant communication between employees. This is also important now so that at any moment, each of them can communicate with other staff or with their boss. This digitalization is becoming more and more important, and these are the most popular topics right now. We have the growth of e-commerce. Some stores are already becoming like small warehouses where orders from online stores come in, which then need to be picked and sent to the right address. So there are more and more of these processes, and this constant connecting all products or employees to the company's overall system is becoming more important to stay competitive in the market.
Well, yes, but actually so that we can identify devices in the store, goods, not so much devices as goods, products that we have in the store. The most important thing is actually the labeling of these products, and that's exactly what printers are for. What can you offer? What kind of solutions specifically for retail points? I know you have a lot of these printers because you have desktops, semi-industrial and industrial ones. Let's focus perhaps on the mobile part of the printers because we won't have time to discuss and talk about everything. Let's look at it from the perspective of mobility, which is the most important thing today in the market, meaning mobile printers. What can we offer here and how can it work?
Sure. As I mentioned, everything is becoming faster, more dynamic, and that's why mobile printers are the ideal solution, allowing for right here and now when an employee sees the need to print a new label because, I don't know, the previous one was somehow torn, became invisible, or prices were updated, and at the moment that new label isn't there yet, so it's important that the employee is able to print it right here immediately, stick it on and keep going instead of having to go back to the back office where a classic printer is, sometimes even laser ones, to print on them. Also, as I said, I've met clients who used classic laser printers and then had to cut out those labels with scissors. Well, you can see automatically what a waste of time that is when you can just have a printer like this with you and stick it on right there on the spot and have the capacity to carry out other processes.
Okay, and how does it look in terms of the quantity of labels that we have inside? Isn't it like we print, I don't know, 5 or 10 labels and then have to pull a new roll of labels out of our pocket or run to the back office just to reload the printer and be able to, so to speak, start printing again? Before you answer, I'll just, so to speak, remind everyone we have a chat. You can ask questions. Go ahead and ask questions. We have a bit of a surprise meeting today, just like this. Challenge here. Yannick also has some surprises for you, for the most active people asking questions in the chat. He promised to prepare some kind of surprise to send to you, so I encourage you to do that. Ask away, take advantage of the fact that Yannick is here live. You can pester him with all sorts of questions. Yannick, please, your answer.
Sure, could you repeat the question?
I was asking about the number of labels in the printer.
Of course, there's absolutely no problem with that whatsoever. Obviously, these printers, due to their size, won't be able to hold as many of those large rolls as industrial printers, but because of that, you can print on the spot, and these rolls are still able to provide a very large number of labels, which will easily last for a whole shift or even longer. So by simply replacing these labels as you go during shift changes or at the end of the workday, there will absolutely be no problem with, well, printing more labels.
You have a series like that of alpha printers. These are mobile printers. We'll introduce them to you a bit by showing some short videos that TSC has prepared to demonstrate the capabilities of these printers. Let's see the videos now. As you can see, the printer is quite, please remind me, Yannick, it comes in 3 versions, right?
That's right. There's the Alpha 30L 3-inch, the Alpha 40L 4-inch, and an Alpha dedicated to healthcare solutions.
As you can see, it also withstands falls and, well, we won't be submerging it here in our glass bowl. But as you can see, it's a printer truly designed for mobile work and isn't afraid of drops.
Exactly.
But if someone writes in the chat for us to test it by throwing the printer, we'll consider it. So I encourage you to use the chat. Yannick, tell me, these mobile printers, do they need any special maintenance, during work or while they are being used at work?
They were actually specifically designed so that there's no such need. It's important that this printer is very easy for anyone to operate, not just for technicians, IT specialists, and so on. So basically, it's enough to make sure the print head is clean. It's also worth ensuring you have the right consumables here. I encourage you to check out the offer from MGN, which is part of the TSC group, because then if we have the right consumables, the print head will get dirty less often, clog less, and will last us longer. As for everything else, you can easily leave that. That's for remote management, firmware updates, checking battery status, or print head life. This is something that can already be left to specialists through various remote solutions. However, a worker who's out there on the shop floor can certainly, as you could clearly see in the demonstration videos, very easily and without any trouble at all reinsert the roller. Can easily clean the print head. It's very easy to load a label, so that simplicity of use is key.
And I encourage you to test these TSC mobile printers. If you have the need or the desire, we at Jarltech have a pool of demo units. You can use them and thoroughly test them for yourself or with your client to see if the device is actually as great as TSC says it is in real-world situations. Yannick, you touched on an interesting topic regarding consumables. We all know, and I know a little bit more, but most of our partners already know that mobile printers generally only use thermal printing. However, TSC also provides a solution for thermal transfer printing on labels, which is not only durable, but perhaps even more aesthetically pleasing than thermal printing. Above all, it is especially durable. Yannick, can you say a few words about that?
Sure, of course. Yes, it is indeed possible, and that is thanks to our special label called Thermoflex. This is a label that actually already comes with, on its roll, well, it's a bit tricky to describe, a sort of attached carbon ribbon right on the label itself. So when you use the thermal head, it heats up this ribbon and prints exactly what is needed onto the label. After that, you simply tear off or peel away the ribbon, leaving behind precisely what you need on the label. And in this way, we have thermal transfer technology utilized in a slightly different way, specifically in mobile printers as well. This is important, as you mentioned, because more and more processes require these more durable labels. We sometimes have storage warehouses located outdoors which are susceptible to sunlight. Then we know that a classic thermal label will simply become illegible after a few hours or days. These products are also often transferred and moved between different stores. I know many people notice that at stores like Zabka, pallets often sit outside, making it crucial for that label to remain readable under those conditions. So it is absolutely possible. This is a product that we have mastered. It can certainly be used with our mobile printers.
What if some test samples were needed?
Absolutely. As you mentioned, testing is very important, and from our side regarding both hardware and consumables, we can certainly provide such samples.
Okay, I encourage you to take advantage of this because it really expands the capabilities of mobile printers and offering thermal transfer printing, which is more durable and robust, will, I think, help you find an edge in client discussions and offer them a better solution. These are mobile printers. How do they perform, Yannick, or how have you adapted them for work in the field or at retail points in mobile work, specifically regarding error reporting and battery life? I think that's also important, Yannick. How long can such a printer operate?
Definitely, those are very important elements to consider when choosing a mobile printer. Battery life is crucial because if we're talking about all those advantages like taking less time to print on site or being more flexible and so on, well, all of that ceases to exist when the printer simply dies and stops working, because then we can't do anything, we can't replace our label, and the battery won't recharge in 3 seconds. And then we just have a device that we cannot use. So a very important point to pay attention to is precisely the battery. On our part, we have implemented many different solutions that allow for extending this battery life. For example, if the printer isn't active for a while, it goes into sleep mode, but it's also important that it wakes up quickly and prints the label as fast as possible, so these are solutions that help conserve battery power. However, our calculations also show that such a printer should easily last longer than a single 8-hour shift. If there is a need to use these devices for subsequent shifts, it's possible to very easily, I'm not sure if I can show it, unplug and plug in the battery. You literally pull it out. We can leave just the battery to charge. An employee can come with their own battery, plug it in, and we have a printer that can continue to function. So I definitely agree that these are very important points and we need to pay attention to that. The printer's durability, as shown in the videos, drops from 1.80 meters. These are easily heights at which we operate in the retail industry. If there was a need for even higher, we have an additional case that allows for increasing this durability. So this is really durable equipment that is meant to survive any challenges.
Okay, and what about the issue of signaling any errors or work statuses? At a time when we have a store, a crowd of people in the store, and I have a task, I don't know, to change labels, and the printer signals to me that the roll has run out, I assume it signals. Will I hear it? Is this printer adapted to work in such a noisy, difficult environment? How does it do it?
Definitely. Of course, we have audible signals that allow for that, as you might expect, which signals some errors, whether it's the end of the label or situations where the label somehow got stuck in the printing mechanism and needs to be fixed. So this is the most HA classic and most frequently used sound signal. But indeed, sometimes we have difficult, noisy, loud conditions. So in this printer, whether it's the 3-inch or 4-inch one, we also have a display that signals and informs about all messages. If it's something that absolutely stops the printer's work, then a large sign appears signaling such a problem. It's also described exactly what's happening, whether it's a printhead issue or a label issue. So from this printer, we are able to really hear a lot from it, read a lot from it. It also has signals, not only audible, but also on the display, as well as simply light signals indicating that something is wrong. And besides that, there's also the possibility of simply remote communication with this printer. And then some person sitting at some central IT point is able to receive such information immediately that something is wrong with this printer, something needs to be done with it, somehow with it.
Okay, we'll talk about that in a moment.
Sure.
Question. Does the printer have vibrations? Like phones, for example, batteries used to vibrate. Can we also hear when something happens with the printer while having it at the belt, feel that something is vibrating, so we should take a look at the printer? I said there would be challenges.
To be honest, I don't want to lie here, so I don't know the answer to this question. I haven't had the chance. It seems to me that when I tested it myself, there were no vibrations. But I can't guarantee it here, and I would have to...
Because we know that in some phones it's there, in some terminals.
In terminals too.
But the question is right in the chat as well, what you think about something like this. Do you think such mobile printers with a vibration function for some failure or message, would that be useful? Remember, we're also waiting for your questions. I encourage you to ask, because Yannick has some surprises he promised to share and send to you after our meeting.
But I'd just like to add, the question is whether such vibrations, if we have, for example, a printer that's in a case and also in a holster, and workers often wear thicker clothes, the question is if it'll be that useful and if it'll work well in those tough conditions you mentioned.
Good question, actually a valid point, but as I understand it, you have accessories.
Absolutely. Accessories are actually very important, really essential in the environment, whether it's retail or for businesses in general. So this printer has various cases. As I mentioned, it increases drop resistance. It has different holsters that allow you to carry it with you, simple straps to hang it on your shoulder, depending on the customer's needs. Everything can be selected and customized. Also, all charging options, communication docks, so that after work you can put such a printer away. So it has a very reliable and fast connection with the IT headquarters to perform updates or other things that way. So there's really a lot of that. We see that customer needs are actually very diverse and can vary quite a lot. So on our part, we make sure to provide all sorts of possible solutions and options for the printer so that customers can easily adapt it to their specific needs and requirements.
Okay, and just to be clear, you mentioned remote access here, right? Do you have your own system that allows for remote device management for printers and terminals, or do you rely more on MDMS on the market like SOTI, Springdell, Guild of Force, and so on?
I will say both, Honestly, we definitely have our own system, and to be honest, that's just how we do things. An MDM system, TSC Connect in a web version, which allows you to connect and manage printers within a single intranet. This is included in the price of the printers, so it's available for download, setting up a local server, and then searching for and connecting these printers to such a system. There you can have insight into the life of the printhead, the battery. Printers send signals if they have any bad pixels on their heads. We can configure them remotely, upload various updates or even labels. So we definitely provide such a tool on our part. But we also definitely cooperate with those companies you mentioned. For example, in SOTI Connect, you can connect these printers and manage them that way.
Okay. So as I understand it, companies that have, for example, dispersed retail points, some store chains and so on, don't have to worry that if there's some change or a printer failure, a person must be sent there to diagnose it. All of this can be done remotely and it costs nothing.
Exactly. There is even the possibility of remote access to the display, and in this way an employee can remotely go through the settings, through the configuration, see what error is displayed. So it is absolutely possible.
A very cool solution which costs nothing with added value offered by the manufacturer. I think it's worth keeping this in mind when talking to your clients, when proposing or presenting this solution. You can also always invite Yannick, who will go with you to such a meeting and talk about the devices a bit more closely and in more detail about the devices. However, I have one more question, Yannick. Do you have any data, statistics from your clients on how or by how much they saved by using mobile devices, for example, such printers in retail points?
We certainly have such data. When we had a few clients who were switching from stationary, desktop, industrial printers to mobile printers, they saw on average about 20 to 30% of time saved on employee work. These are real man hours, which, when considered on an annual scale, add up to a really high amount, a significant sum saved on these man hours, and all of this is thanks to just one device. This is solely a matter of time saved in man hours, and we still have additional issues that thanks to this, you can better serve the customer. We have higher satisfaction, our processes are more efficient. We have a smaller number of human errors because also instead of going somewhere to the back room, printing those various labels and then remembering what we were supposed to stick where, now we do it on the spot and we don't have those errors, and thanks to that we avoid additional losses.
Okay, it's worth remembering that if you need such data while preparing for a meeting with a client, I think it's worth asking Yannick. Yannick will share it with you. Mobile printers have been on the market for 10 years now, I would say. Yannick, do you think, or rather do you as a manufacturer have any development plans related to this group of devices? Do you see anything that would be ready or possible to implement in such printers that could further improve work?
I mean, from our side, I won't hide that we've been developing this equipment for many, many years. We responded to various inquiries or requests from customers or our partners. This is how the Alpha series was created, which also has the ability to print RFID labels, meaning the possibility of marking goods with RFID technology in the field, not just through stationary or desktop printers. Similarly, we see the increasingly popular linerless series, which means using labels without backing. And an Alpha printer like this can also be used with this technology. We have plenty of different accessories that we've included. So from our side, it seems to us that in this series already, we've reached the point where it's a complete solution. However, we're constantly and fully open to new feedback, to new solutions. We have an R&D department working to ensure this equipment is as tailored as possible to the needs of customers and partners. So we're also open to any information from you, our partners and customers, because that's how we can continue to develop our products. Is something still missing, or are there any other accessories that would be needed? And sometimes maybe even the other way, is there too much of something, or is it a case of using a proverbial cannon to shoot a sparrow? Because then we can remove some elements after all, as it's not always necessary. And that's how, for example, the RE310 mobile printer series was created. So from our side, we're always open to this feedback, and we're very much asking for it, so that we can simply follow the needs of our partners and customers in this way.
I encourage you, if you have any ideas or suggestions on what else could be changed in these printers, as Yannick said, taken away or added, write in the chat. Use it right now so that we can, so to speak, quickly and easily present it to the manufacturer. In the meantime, a question has come up, a very good one. We actually haven't talked about this. Thank you. What is the standard warranty period, and are there any extensions to this warranty?
Sure. The standard warranty period is 2 years for the printer, but there are certainly options to extend this warranty. It's worth making a distinction here. There's the term warranty, which mainly covers the manufacturer's material and production defects, and we're also able to extend that for additional periods. We have packages for up to 5 years to guarantee such a period. However, we also have separate service contracts. This is important because these service contracts cover repairs resulting not only from our production or material errors, but also from daily use of the printer. If it falls, say, from 3 meters and something happens to it, then With such a service contract purchased, you can report the printer to our service center and in this way ensure that it keeps working and functioning all the time.
So I'll ask one more question, a so-called follow-up question. Is the service center in Poland?
Yes, that's right. We've established a partnership with Fixit, which carries out repairs for our printers here in Poland. It carries out these repairs as part of door-to-door logistics, meaning at the cost of the warranty and service contract. The printer is picked up by a courier to the service point and then sent back with no extra costs for customers or partners.
Okay, we've talked about the printer. I encourage you to write in the chat what retail processes you've encountered regarding automatic identification, labeling, or reading. Let's move on to reading, to the terminal, which, as you can see, has its screen on all the time, so it's still working. It's working. That spot that appeared there is water that got in, as far as I know, under the protective film or an air bubble, not necessarily water. But tell me, Yannick, I am wondering in which specific areas or particular segments are mobile devices in retail most commonly being used today?
At the moment, we see that these devices are important in practically the entire area, across every stage, in all retail processes, from the back office to the product sale. In the past, such devices were usually somewhere at the checkout where customers were scanned and billed. Now we see that precisely because of this need for 24/7 visibility and the need to meet customer needs, these devices are used practically everywhere. Mobile points of sale are becoming more popular, where an employee using such a device is able to scan items, fill up the shopping basket for the customer, and then also settle the payment with the customer, who, as a result, does not have to wait in long lines at the classic checkout counters. In this way, it is also becoming increasingly important to efficiently receive new stock, keep track of inventory, and carefully control the arrangement and presentation of products on the store display shelves. There are really plenty of applications. These are unlimited possibilities, and we see that these devices are important not only for, managers, so they have connectivity, but also for every employee. It's important that they have such a device with them.
Do you have any dedicated devices specifically adapted for retail, or are they?
That's right, it's the device submerged here, the S20.
Well, no one in a store will bathe the terminal, let's be honest. We're only showing this to show you how TSC devices are actually durable and resistant.
Exactly. Well, it's a device that also in its production style is ergonomic. It's light, it's very thin, it's really getting close to parameters, close to classic smartphones. And yet, as you can see, it's resistant to drops, to submersion. It has a built-in scanning module, making it an ideal device for employees because it's based on Android, which practically everyone knows. Everyone has a smartphone now and knows how to use it, and it allows them to very efficiently carry out processes right in the store.
You mentioned the scanning module. Are the terminals you're offering for retail solutions equipped with a special module for reading dense small codes? Maybe not so much dense, because dense is, well, actually very, very small, but standard small codes on small labels or small tags in stores.
Absolutely. These scanning engines from Bluebird shouldn't have any problem with that at all. Oh, I'll pull it out now because 30 minutes have been counted down. 30 minutes, according to the IP68 standard, that's the amount of time the device can be submerged. As you can see, the device is working, the screen is still lit up. However, on our part, we definitely always recommend drying the device afterwards, removing the battery, and letting it rest, because those were very demanding conditions it was in.
So it didn't last for the full duration of our conversation then?
Not the full conversation, no. The highest protection class is IP68, and that 8 at the end indicates the specified immersion time is 30 minutes. So yes, after that time, it's best to take the device out.
What do you think? Do we count this TSC challenge as a success or not? Because at the start I said we'd see if it lasts through our whole conversation. Let us know in the chat, and in the meantime, Yannick, could you finish up regarding those scanning modules?
Sure. As I mentioned, these are dedicated scanners designed for the most efficient work possible. Still, it's always worth testing for a client's specific needs to see which scanning module is required and works best, as we have several different variants. We also have a long-range scanning module, for example, which might work a bit better, perhaps in a back room or in a warehouse with high-level storage racks. So we can absolutely handle any code. but it's worth testing to be sure that a specific scanning module is the right one and perfect for our needs.
Well, it's hard for me to imagine a situation where I have a terminal and I'm reading from up close on the showroom floor, and then I go to the back and switch terminals just to read from some shelves.
But that's exactly the point. This scanning module is able to adapt whether working on the shop floor scanning from a few dozen centimeters away, or later going to the back and scanning from over several meters. So that's the goal, to choose the right scanning engine that will be as flexible as possible.
And here we come back to the point of testing the devices, renting them either from us or from TSC, going to the client and testing on site, because that's what really shows the device's real capabilities and allows for choosing the right product. And tell me, we know how long printers last, but what about terminals? Can we be sure when providing a client with such a terminal that it will last? We're not talking about a standard work shift here, meaning those 8 hours. But for example, we have an inventory process. We bring everyone, the whole crew, to the store. We do inventory from morning to evening, which is longer than 8 hours. Will this terminal allow us to do that? Will it last?
On our end, we've conducted a test where the terminal was running at full brightness with Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and 5G network search enabled. A YouTube video playing at maximum volume and maximum screen brightness. And then such a terminal lasted exactly 8 hours of work. Obviously, daily work conditions aren't that intense, so it will last longer. However, by design, it's a terminal intended for single shift work. But there's also always the option to simply use the hot swap, where you unplug the battery in a very simple way, plug in another one, and the device continues to function without any work interruption, without shutting down, or any need to reset applications or reconnect. So if there are processes where we need to ensure a very long operating time for the terminal, then it's worth considering the hot swap variant.
So how much time do we actually have then to change such a battery, typically speaking?
The display shows 30 seconds. From my side, I've seen it easily last a minute. So it's definitely enough time to unplug the battery and plug in a new one.
Okay. Do you have any accessories dedicated strictly to retail solutions, meaning for retail outlets?
I think that's hard to define as strictly for retail alone. There are many accessories that we see being used in various workplaces, and among others, they will also work perfectly in retail. We have the option to attach a strap, which makes the device easier to hold in your hand. You also don't have to hold it vertically all the time. You can just let it hang to relieve the hand a bit. We have various hangers, whether for a belt or for the neck or the shoulder. Of course, additional reinforcing cases and tempered glass for the screen are also available to increase durability. There are styluses available that work with the terminal screen. So again, we realize that accessories are very important to ensure the solution is best adapted to the customer's needs. So we definitely have such solutions. We also establish cooperation with various third-party companies that provide such accessories. So we will always make sure to find the right solution for any needs whenever necessary.
You mentioned a stylus, a pen. Tell me, because today in the age of smartphones, practically all of us are used to touching the screen with a finger and controlling it that way. Do you get many inquiries about, well, styluses or pens for mobile devices, for terminals?
Well, the term many is probably a bit of a subjective matter. Yes, well, such questions do come up, also for specific projects. Sometimes there are situations where workers use thicker gloves, and then a stylus like that is useful for them to be able to use the terminal. I don't know, like receiving goods in the back, which is combined with working outside. We have record frosts now, minus 20 degrees, so then it'll be hard to even stick a finger out for a moment to operate such a terminal, so then a stylus works perfectly. So yes, such inquiries do appear, and well, that's about it.
And will this terminal withstand minus 20?
Absolutely, yes. The terminal has an operating range from minus 20 degrees, so it'll survive the conditions we had working in cold stores. It's definitely adapted for that.
So you can take it outside the store and receive goods without worrying about the frost outside. Exactly. I'll ask a question now that I think few people ask today. How does this screen, or your terminal screens in general, function, or perform under really strong, intense lighting. Because stores and retail outlets have various types of lighting. Sometimes it's spot lighting, sometimes it's very bright, large lights, not to say fluorescent tubes, as they used to be called. So how does this screen behave? Is there any problem with it being too dark or too bright?
Absolutely not. Despite everything, sunlight is still the most troublesome light when it shines directly on the terminal. Then outside, it's sometimes hard to see what's happening on the screen and operate even a smartphone. However, our terminals are definitely equipped with screens that have very high brightness. Even in full sunlight, we clearly see what's on the screen, so it'll also handle artificial store lighting just fine.
Okay, perhaps does anything else come to mind that's worth asking the manufacturer regarding retail solutions? I'll also show you some additional information or perhaps a slide that presents this particular terminal device that we submerged. Just as a reminder, TSC offers several or even a dozen different mobile device models in its lineup. We've only put one of them to the test or challenge. I encourage you to try out the others as well. Yannick, how long will I wait for a service response? The moment I report some failure at the store. It's known that today time is the most precious thing we have, and no one wants to wait, whether for a repair, a report, or, for example, an offer from our side. Tell me, how quickly does your service department respond?
If we fill out a service form, then our partner Fixit responds almost immediately. One of the options they guarantee is to first verify if it's something that whether the problem we have requires the device to be sent back for service, or if we can somehow solve it on site without any trouble, without needing to send the equipment back. Because, as you say, well, it's very important that the equipment doesn't leave the store. It's always a burden when we're unable to use it for our processes. If it's sent back for service, on our part, we certainly provide a 5-day repair cycle. However, we also have many collaborations with our partners. We have open access to parts. We have many other companies that are also able to, for example, ship a replacement device during the repair. Depending on the customer's specific needs, we can always use either our own range of services or the reliable support of our partners, and in this way provide the right solution for the customer.
So in short, there's no need to worry. You just have to ask.
Exactly.
Either us or Yannick, and we'll find a satisfactory solution. There's another question. Which entities are currently using Bluebird devices? Interesting question. I don't know if you can answer without revealing too much to the competition, but on the other hand, yes, what are your references for Bluebird?
Sure.
And do we have such examples in Poland?
Absolutely. I'll talk about the implementations I can mention, which are known and which you can already find the data for yourself in public tenders or elsewhere. I think the most popular client where we can find the most of these devices is the Inditex group, meaning the Zara store chain, as well as the H&M store chain. Bluebird devices are there, especially in combination with the RFID solution. For many years, we've been supplying this to the entire European market, including in Poland. However, in Poland, we also see great success for these devices in public services, whether it's the police who have been equipped with these devices, or various regional railways such as KMK, SKMK, or Lower Silesian Railways. You can find these devices there too. There are still many other different clients that, well, due to data protection and the protection of our partners, I cannot name, but such implementations definitely exist. And if there were a need, we could also provide such references privately with the appropriate pass-on with other NDIs.
I'll also add right away that TSC is one of the few manufacturers that offers devices for explosion hazard zones. So if you need such devices, I encourage you to reach out to us with questions. We'll advise and make a proposal. Another question has come up. Can projects be registered? And if so, from what quantities? I know the answer, but I'll let you respond.
Sure, thanks. Of course, you can definitely register projects for both printers and devices. We don't have any rigid guidelines regarding the quantity. Obviously, if we're talking about desktop printers, then 1 or 2 isn't really enough to justify a project, but from just a few units, and definitely from a dozen or more, you can certainly reach out to us. I encourage you to contact me with any topic. We are very flexible in this regard. We want to support you as much as possible, you, our partners and customers, and simply to convince you and create the best conditions for purchasing these devices.
I'll remind you that TSC, like every manufacturer, has its own demo program. So you can also buy devices for your own needs, for presentations, testing, or software development, which you can then theoretically sell after a few months and refresh your demo stock. So you can take advantage of that as well. We'll be wrapping up soon. I still encourage you to ask questions. I have one more question for you, Yannick. RFID, because that's also a very popular topic in retail today. Do you have mobile solutions like printers or terminals that can be equipped with an RFID module?
Definitely, yes. So as you mentioned, RFID in retail, especially in the fashion segment, but not only there, is becoming increasingly important and prevalent because we have a 24/7 reality, knowing what is where in real time. So yes, on our part, we provide such solutions. As I mentioned, the Alpha printer can be ordered in a configuration with the ability to encode RFID tags. This way we can print such tags on the go in the store, and mobile devices for later data collection are also definitely available. We have several options here. You can pair an S20 device with an additional accessory like an RFID sled, which allows you to very intensively read a lot of codes at a longer range and then use both barcodes and RFID. You can buy this device as a standalone solution without any extra equipment. And then using Bluetooth or another connection, you can input that data into the system. And besides that, devices with an integrated RFID scanner are becoming more and more popular. For example, the newly released device we have, the X40, which allows for short-range reading and is less intensive, but because of that, employees have a solution available right here and now, which is able to read such codes.
A question has come up about whether you can see the devices live, for example, at an event or a trade fair. Not at a trade fair, but that's a very good question again. You're really hitting the mark with your questions today. We, as Jarltech, are organizing together with manufacturers, including TSC, an event at the end of March, Solutions Day. We had the first such event last year, and now at the end of March, we're repeating it in a similar format. Whoever was there knows what it was like and knows it's worth being there. If you weren't there, I encourage you to come. Invitations, as far as I remember, Marken mentioned that they'll be sent to you, the partners, this week. So I encourage you to check your inboxes and register. And yes, you'll be able to see these devices live there, touch them, and get a feel for them. At the same time, I'll say right away, this Solutions Day event isn't strictly a product presentation. It's a presentation of specific solutions. Each manufacturer will bring specific devices to show where and how they can be used, so that it's an inspiration for you to show where they can be applied. So you can think about which customers these devices or specific solutions presented and shown by the manufacturers can be applied. So I encourage you to follow our profile on LinkedIn. I encourage you to check your email inbox and wait for that invitation.
I'll just add that from our side, we as TSC will also be presenting solutions for retail. So for sure, both the devices you see here on the table will be present, as well as additional RFID solutions. As I mentioned, it's becoming more popular in the retail segment, so we'll be presenting that there too, as well as all other solutions, not just the ones we talked about today. So I warmly encourage us to meet there.
All right. If you have any questions, I encourage you to ask them now. We'll be wrapping up our meeting now. I hope we've given you a better idea of the solutions that TSC has prepared specifically for retail, for commercial points. Our conversation is recorded. I hope it will be made available on our YouTube channel, so you'll be able to come back to it at any time, remind yourselves, and refresh the information. Our contact info for me and Yannick, if you don't have it, will also be shown on the relevant slide. I see we already have one person signed up for Solutions Day. I'm glad. We have a really large number of spots available. There's room for everyone. We also have networking planned there. You'll be able to exchange experiences, get to know the manufacturers a bit better, so I encourage you to register. So if you have any questions, please, I encourage you to ask them. And if there aren't any, then thank you very much for participating, for your time, and I invite you to the next Jarltech Labs, which we have planned. We'll be organizing perhaps with more challenges for more manufacturers.